fight him.
Of the most entertaining UFC fighter on the planet.
Okay.
Hey, now there's a man from Ireland that's been making me wait for way too long. And I still got one dude on my mind. Conor McGregor, get your candy ass back to the octagon. We got some unfinished business, boys. God bless. I'll see you at the top.
Kia ora koutou katoa, no mai hara mai ki UFC on Sky Karavinda Hunia Tōku Ingoa. UFC 298 at the weekend had New Zealand and Australian fans on the edge of their seats with our three Anzacs in action, with emotions running high and a little bit low as well. Here to break it down with me today is current UFC Lightweight Dan Hooker. Kia ora to the Hangman, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here, as always.
Cool. Look, first of all, I want to start with your general consensus. What did you make of UFC 298 in California?
Yeah, Anzac heavy card. Definitely had a lot of us tuning in from this side of the world. Yeah, that's fine. Mixed results from the boys, but I think as a whole, the card progressed a lot of the divisions in a lot of different ways, like fresh blood at the top of the featherweight division, which is not really expected. Obviously, big movement in the co-main event with in the middleweight title picture as well. So it's yeah, in general, I'd say it was a pretty exciting card.
That's right. Look, let's start with the prelims. Justin Taffa was supposed to be fighting De Lima. Obviously, he got injured during fight week, so the story goes, and his brother Junior steps in and didn't get the win. I wanted to get your thoughts on that fight and how you think that went.
Yeah, so from my understanding, it was that they were just doing like a little bit of a workout to cut weight. Like at the beginning of your weight cut kind of process, you do like a little bit of hitting pads and then kind of move towards the sauna. They were hitting pads. He did a little bit of a slip and has torn something in his knee quite bad. So he obviously had to pull out last minute, but lucky enough, he had another UFC heavyweight already in his corner. So his brother Junior has always stepped up to the plate. I don't know if you ever had a fight with a Samoan. Well, you have to fight his brother as well. So it was good. It was good that Junior was there to step up to the plate and took the fight on a day's notice, which was a pretty incredible feat. In UFC history, I don't think that's been done. Well, that's the first time my brother's had to step up to the plate. But yeah, it just goes to show, like, high risk, high reward. Obviously, stepping in on last minute notice, unexpected, is a huge reward if you get the job done. But yeah, you have to understand that you haven't really paid to play. Like, that's all that the training camp is for, is that you are paying the price to play the game. You're not guaranteed even if you do all of the training and conditioning and sparring and get your body and mind ready. That's only paying to step inside the ring.
Yeah.
You still have not guaranteed any success after that period in time. So it's obviously Junior went in without the same conditioning on your body. You need to understand all the running and sparring and wrestling obviously conditions your body ready for the strikes. And then early in that fight, he was kicked in the calf kick. And you can take 100 of those calf kicks, and then one will land on that peroneal nerve, which runs on the outside of your shin, and your whole leg just goes dead. So it's like, that's what happened to him. He got the peroneal nerve caught quite early, his leg went dead, and he was just his opponent accumulated those calf kicks, and it just led to the finish. Once the kind of perennial was chipped away at and he started landing it more and more, I'm going to be honest, I stopped. I've had enough hidings to know when something's beyond the point of no return, and he's just, I don't need to see how tough that kid is. I know he's tough. I know he's game. I know he's going to stay in there till the very end, which he did. But yeah, it was just a losing battle at that point.
Yeah. Talk to us about taking a calf kick, because obviously you've taken them in the past. We actually saw, I mean, not exactly like that, but Israel Adesanya fell victim to that in his fight against Alex Pereira. When you hit that nerve, it's hard to come back. When you're going into your, timeouts and things like that in between rounds, can you ever come back and recover from that?
Oh, you can if you're conditioned. Like it's the same thing. Like he didn't do the conditioning. Obviously, if you've been doing all your running and your conditioning, like you have a higher red blood cell count throughout your body, so you can obviously pump out the bad stuff and get some oxygen into those muscles a lot quicker. But yeah, your peroneal nerve is so people think it's a calf, which is called a calf kick, but it's really not even your calf. It's like a bit lower down, and it's like your soleus muscle is like the real target of it. And if you like hit that enough, you like accumulate damage onto it. But on the inside of that runs like a peroneal nerve, and it's incredibly difficult to aim for. But if you don't tense that soleus muscle at the right time, that kind of peroneal nerve's left exposed, that gets hit, your whole leg can't put weight on for a very long period of time. If you'd done like a full training camp, I was like, maybe he can recover between rounds. But because he hadn't put that he hadn't paid to play, I was kind of like, the chances of him recovering from this are pretty slim to none at that point.
Do you think that was, clever gameplay by the opposition?
I feel like De Lima's good. That's a good technique of his. And as well as Junior, which he's, he for a heavyweight, he fights incredibly long and from distance, and he has an incredibly good jab. But obviously the price to pay for having an incredibly good jab is that you're heavy on your front foot, and it's like easier to time that jab. So De Lima, like every time Junior would step in to throw his jab, he would throw that calf kick and land it. So I think that's just pretty quick game planning from, because it would have been a big adjustment from De Lima as well, because Junior's brother, Justin, who was supposed to fight as a southpaw, which is you cannot kick can't calf kick a southpaw. The stances change from open stance to closed stance, and it becomes a lot more difficult. So I think that must have been some pretty good last minute, 1 day game planning
adjusting
from the De Lima team.
Where does this leave Justin now? Because this was his fight against a ranked opponent, so that he could hopefully hit those rankings now. How much work do you think needs to be done now for Justin to get that chance again?
I think Justin, just recover, just get back in there. And perhaps that's the funny thing about the rankings. It's like whoever's available. Like when a guy is ready to fight and he's ready to step in there, you take the best guy you can get your hands on, whether they're ranked or unranked. So that was a good opportunity for Justin to crack his way into the rankings. But what he needs to do now is just make sure that his injury is completely healed before he gets back in there. And but he hasn't lost any stock at all. Junior as well, people understand that him stepping in on a single day's notice. They're going to know how game he is. They're going to know how tough he is, and I feel like that still shows a lot of character for him being so young in his UFC career, and for stepping up to fight a ranked opponent on a day's notice speaks volumes to him as a fighter and his character. So I think neither of the brothers really lose stock from that result.
Yeah. And you know better than anybody else, stepping in last minute to a fight to dare to be great.
Give it a go. I'll take a puncher's chance.
Look, let's move on to the middleweight division, the co-main event, Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. I actually was quite impressed with Paulo Costa and what he brought.
I'm quite impressed he showed up. Like that was my big question mark.
I asked Robert last week, I said, hey, look, you're in California, has there been a sighting of Paulo Costa? And he said, yes, I can confirm.
I would have written that in the contract. I would have been like, I get paid whether he shows up or doesn't show up. I was like, I'm not signing to fight this guy. Because, he's had a long time between drinks. I think that's been...
Between drinks?
Yeah, 3 years Paulo Costa's been sitting out. But he looked good. Like, he has, to his credit, had a couple of training camps in that period of time. I know that he hasn't actually competed in an octagon since he beat Luke Rockhold, I believe, which was an incredible war, and he's had a lot of time off. But no, he looked good. It looks like he has been in the gym and he has been improving. And especially I feel with his style, where he's has a very... like he's a bully. He's a very bully style. He stands his ground. He's a very muscular guy, and he throws power shots, and he walks forward, and he attempts to walk his opponents down and pressure them until they fatigue, and he can kind of catch them with a bigger shot. It's saying that style requires a lot of time off. Like that style is not a style you can employ on a regular basis. Let's say for like Israel Adesanya, for instance, like he was able to be so active as a champion because of his style. He doesn't get hit very much. He keeps everything long. He uses like a lot of fakes and feints and a lot of movement and footwork to avoid heavy contact, whereas Paulo Costa doesn't have that kind of style. He'll probably be able to fight like 1 5-rounder a year and then need like a good amount of time to recover. But he did improve his skills. He did look like he was a better fighter than we last saw him. I feel like he was twice as good as when he fought Luke Rockhold. Like he looked like a better fighter. He looked like a reinvigorated fighter at that point in time. I don't feel like his stock goes down at all with that. Rob, as well as getting clipped in that first round, being able to gut it out, come back, perform, and outpoint Paulo Costa, I thought was an incredible performance on Rob's behalf, which, that leaves Rob in the title picture.
Yeah.
The win over Paulo Costa, he's in the title picture, and that's... The title picture is always like a funny game to play. Like when Strickland won the title, I believe he was ranked number 5 or number 6, was on a 1-fight win streak against an unranked opponent. But he's the only guy that wasn't injured or booked. Yeah. So he got the opportunity. So it'll be the same thing for Rob. It's like whether he wants to sit around and wait. I think the next title fight will be Dricus and Israel.
Yeah.
But it's like either of those guys gets hurt, you will see Rob step up and fight for that title or the interim title for sure. So he's definitely positioned himself in an incredible position with that result.
Yeah. Well, and considering that he came off of that loss against Dricus, last year, not too long ago. But with all the movement that's happening in the middleweight division, there's other doors that are opening so he can find his way through in other ways.
Oh, definitely. Like, even if the Dricus Israel is the next logical fight for the middleweight title, that leaves Strickland kind of out in the lurch, and I would be pretty excited to see Strickland and Whittaker go at it. Like, that's a fight that I'm pretty excited to watch.
Yeah, no, Robert Whittaker looked really good. I was actually looking through his record at, his finishes in comparison to decision wins. He hasn't finished a fight since 2017, but he usually, when he's getting his wins since then to now, he finds a way, bites down on that mouthguard and really powers forward and comes through with that jab that we all know and love now by him. What I wanted to ask you though, are you surprised that he comes forward with only that approach? Because he's got the wrestling, he's got the jiu-jitsu, but has never really used it.
It's you need to look at like level of competition. Like if I'm fighting a guy who's ranked number 50, I could probably double leg him. It's like, but if I'm fighting Dustin Poirier, or I'm fighting Conor McGregor, or I'm fighting like these guys at the top echelon in the division, I'm not double legging any of these guys. Like the game changes. It's like obviously coming up, your skill set can be a lot more varied, and you have to be incredibly well rounded. And he is a Commonwealth level wrestler, and he does have a black belt in jiu-jitsu. It's like, but able to implement those skills at the top echelon of the division becomes a lot more incredibly different. So it comes down to those finite details, or even smaller than that. It comes down to a jab. He had a better jab than Paulo Costa. So it's like, could he double leg Paulo Costa? Probably not. You know what I mean? Is he going to be able to hold Paulo Costa on the ground? Chances are he's probably not. Is he going to be able to, is his path of least resistance to stay on the outside and jab Paulo Costa? Well, it is. So that's the sport that we play. It's how the sport came about, is the path to least resistance. It's how UFC 1 started. It's like, you're wearing a jiu-jitsu gi, I'm probably going to want to keep this standing. Yeah. It's like, you have one boxing glove on, I probably want to throw you on the ground. Like it's the path. Our sport is the sport of the path of least resistance.
Fair enough. And look, let's talk about that head kick that he took at the end of the first round. You took a great head kick yourself against Jalen.
What head kick?
I don't remember that head kick. But you took one in your last fight against Jalen Turner, and you still bit down on your mouth guard, carried on and won your fight as well. So talk to us about, being in that moment, if you can remember it, and what it is like to absorb that, go into the...
I think it's a bit different. Like, he was saying at the post guys, like, because you do get caught by shots like that. Like, what happened to that big right hand? Like, there's a lot of times you've gone back to the corner and you'll just go, what was that? Like, you actually don't see it. And because those are the ones that hurt. It's like the things that you see obviously do a lot of damage. The things that you don't see, you kind of just wake up looking at the lights going, well, that mustn't have gone well. But I think that's a bit different. Like, they're different circumstances. I think he just did not see that spinning heel kick from Paulo Costa. So it caught him cold, but he was able to recover in between those rounds. Turner, I think, was a bit different because I saw him kicking. And I was expecting my arm to do this, but my arm, I was like ignoring the fact that my arm was already broken, and my arm must have looked at my face and said, I'm not taking this one.
Not today.
My arm said, sorry boss, sorry boss, I'm knocking off today. So I just like watched his shin like slowly hit my face, and then after that I was like more embarrassed than anything. I was just like, you saw that. I was like, you didn't think to move out of the way? Like, what a stupid idea. So I think, like, apples and oranges.
Well, congratulations, kia koe Robert Whittaker, on that win, and we can't wait to see where this takes you next. Look, let's move on to the featherweight title fight, Alexander Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria. Obviously not the result that people were kind of expecting or wanting, especially on this side of the world. I say that with full bias, of course, but what were your thoughts on that fight? Because I thought, leading up until that point, it was a great fight.
Oh, bro, it's just one of those things. Like, it really... yeah, I've been there myself. Like, you're winning two, you got knocked out. Like, that's how that fight went. And so now it's like two losses, especially two knockout losses in a row. I've been there as well, like 2 first-round losses in a row. People start to ask a lot of questions, but a lot of people don't fight for world titles in mixed martial arts anyway, you know what I mean? So it's just a different mentality. Like, what Volk really needs to do is kind of turn the volume down, all of that, and really take it for what it is. And if you take it for what it is, it's a fight that I feel like, in terms of the game plan behind it, like Ilia Topuria is like a boxer that looks to draw out a shot and then look for a counter, and he will bite down and he will counter pretty much everything. So the way that you get past that is to make him hesitate about when you're attacking or when you're jabbing especially. And I feel like at that point in the fight, Volk had found his jab, was really touching Topuria up in his jab, had found his range, like his head hit him with his jab, Topuria would shoot his counter and they'd just skim past his thing. They'd just missed the target. So from like me watching the fight, he had begun to establish his ascendancy in the contest, and then it's like Topuria just stepped in a little further than Volk anticipated for and got caught with a clean punch. And that's just how the game goes. I always think of it, it's like you're playing a game of chess, but then you're also like playing like a game of Snap on the side of it. So you're like having to make like these incredibly high level chess moves, and while you're also playing like a stupid game on the side. And it doesn't, like, some guys, they'll never beat you at chess, but they can beat you at Snap. Like, anyone can win a game of Snap. Like, and that's the crux of the position that we're in. He just was caught with a punch. So what Volk needs to do now is just kind of turn that noise down, get back to his friends and family, get back in the gym, take a good amount of time off, and then, because it wasn't like the skills, like it's not like he went out there and he was outclassed. He was winning the fight and got caught with a punch. That's just, that's the game that we play.
Was there at any point you thought, oh, don't do that, or oh, you could feel a build? You know how sometimes in a fight you can feel it building to a result? Was there any point where you thought that, or you just like when it happened?
Like it was in the first round, and then Topuria was landing like some calf kicks, and I was like, oh, those calf kicks. Like, Volk needs to watch out from that. He needs to have a little bit more distance when he's moving this way. But he did.
Yeah.
Then he did. Like he did in between rounds. He adjusted. He did what he was supposed to do. Those calf kicks started landing. His jab started countering the calf kicks, and he began to wear Topuria down and start to win the fight until, like, sometimes it just works like that. You zigged and you should have zagged, and that's the it ain't cricket.
It's not straightforward. Look, obviously Alexander Volkanovski comes off the bat and says he wants an immediate rematch. I'm not sure what that contract looked like, but it didn't seem like Dana White was very enthused about it. What are your thoughts?
Probably just because that's like two in a row after this. Well, like, Volk really doesn't, like, what he really needs to do is not think about any of that whatsoever. Like, can he beat Ilia Topuria? Like, of course he can. Can he beat Islam Makhachev? Like, we've seen it. Like, of course he can. But that's it. Like, you roll the dice 10 times and you come up snake eyes once out of 10. Like, that's just the sport. The better fighter doesn't always win the contest on the night. What he needed, like, the title picture will completely change. And like, Volk needs to take a good amount of time off, like 8, 10, 12, like, I would say 10 to 12 months off before we see him back in the octagon. That's what he needs to do for himself. And by then, the title picture in the top 5 and the top 10 would have completely, like, we might not have the same champion. We might not, the title, in a 12-month period of time, the title might have changed hands 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Do I think Ilia beats Max Holloway? I do not.
Yeah.
I definitely do not. So, you know, and now let's say Holloway wins the title off Topuria. Can Volk beat Holloway? We've seen it 3 times before. Like, I can't, you know, so I feel like a lot can change in that period of time.
Yeah. And while you don't like that result for Volk, as you have alluded to, it does open the door to more exciting movement within a division. It happened, you know, in the lightweight division, when the bout changes hands. In terms of the featherweight division, do you think, well, Max Holloway's got his BMF fight coming up with Justin Gaethje, obviously.
Better be regretting that now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I haven't heard Holloway's name come out of Topuria's mouth at all.
No, he knows it doesn't beat him. He knows it doesn't beat him.
Yeah, he's talking Conor McGregor and all these other crazy ideas. But who else would it be?
Yeah, the Mexico guy coming up. You know, like someone, Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, the winner of that fight, definitely. The door's wide open. The door's wide open. Regardless of how Max Holloway goes against Justin Gaethje, he's going to need to go on vacation for a long period of time. Like, that's the only reason I say that he'll kind of be kicking himself, because the title picture is right there for him now. Yeah. He probably just wasn't expecting this fight to go the way that, well, that's what everyone that's what everyone is expecting, right? But yeah, the door is wide open. Ivlev, he's in with a shot. Or I would say, who brings more attention would be the winner between either Yair and Brian Ortega.
Yeah, absolutely. Exciting times ahead. And we are wishing you well, Alex, on your recovery. Did you hear that? Dr. Dan, 10 to 12 months, please.
I don't listen to my own advice. I don't.
You talk.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Look, during that fight, you were watching it with your teammates, Izzy and Tyson and the rest of the crew. What was the vibe like after that result? I'm not imagining.
Shattered, bro.
Yeah.
Shattered, like, there's nothing really to say. Like, I'd just been sitting there going, oh, look, he's got the jab. Like, he's putting them on the jab. Like, everything's going to plan. And then it's kind of like disbelief. And then I'm sitting there just going, what a dumb sport. And then the voice on the back of my head goes, you do this sport, idiot. And then I just chuckled at myself, like, you're an idiot too. But I was like, that's like, because in my opinion, like, Volk's the best fighter to ever put gloves on. Like, in my opinion, like, the most well-rounded, incredible wrestler, solid grappling submissions, just the most complete fighter, in my opinion. And to see him beat by a guy that I think he's 10 times better than is, it's disbelief. But it can and does happen in our sport on a regular basis. But it's like the same, it's the reason why I hate the sport, and it's the reason why I love the sport, is because it's it can change. All these results hang on the tip of a knife's edge, and that the sport moves faster and can change in different directions, faster than any other sport can.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk to you quickly about UFC 300. I feel like I'm getting way ahead of myself, but the main event was announced. Alex Pereira up against Jamal Hill. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, and what do you feel about it?
It's a good fight to scratch together.
To scrape together?
And then the last minute, I want to know. I want Dana to come out and to say that what had all gone on behind the scenes, because as far as I knew, like, Israel was stepping up to fight in that 300 slot. So to have Pereira and that announced and Hill announced, which is an incredible fight. They're two incredible strikers. Hill's already said that he's wanted to fight Pereira, and he thinks he's going to stand with Pereira. He's not going to grapple him. He's not going to wrestle him. Terrible idea, but I want to see it. It's
like a car crash. You just can't look away.
Yeah. Terrible idea. I would double leg that man with everything that I had. But yeah, he's going to stand with him. That's a fitting main event for UFC 300, and then I'm pretty stoked that the UFC could put something like that together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we all knew that it absolutely had to be a title fight, and it had to be, there's the BMF there's the women's strawweight division, so yeah, there was a lot of juggling and spinning of plates to get that together, but as you say, be interesting to see what Dana White has to say about that organising. Do you know what Israel's reaction was to that, seeing as he was so keen to be on it?
Yeah, so I said, later, bro. So we all the result. I was like, well, I'm not going to listen to the post-fight speech. I'm out of here. I said, we're going. Everyone started clearing out, dapped him up, went to leave, and I just said, oh, and I was like, ooh. I was like, maybe we're going out for some beers. But nah, he turned my request down, and he's going to stay in the gym and stay. He's continued to stay in the gym and stay healthy and stay training very hard. So I would anticipate him getting another fight booked pretty soon. I feel like Dricus, that was going to be a big ask after the 5 round he had with Strickland. He took a lot of damage in that Strickland fight, and you can he'd turned the title fight down before. He was supposed to fight Israel in Sydney when he fought Strickland, but he had a niggle. He had an injury, and he wasn't prepared to take that risk. And so I was not surprised at all that he wasn't prepared to rush back and take that risk for UFC 300. And can I criticize him for it? I can't really, because it worked out in his favor the last time. He's now the one walking around with the title. Yeah. So I cannot criticize him and say he should want to fight at UFC 300 with half a training camp. It's like I can't criticize him. The only way you can is in hindsight, which everyone can.
Yeah, it's just a fight we all really want to see.
Yeah. We're like, put your body on the line
immediately. Look, talking about upcoming fights, what's happening with you? You're obviously still training, still active, and you haven't fought for, bouncing up a year.
Yeah. So it'll be, I've got a CT scan tomorrow morning, and then I get all clear from the surgeon come next week. And then once I get that all cleared, I can pick my training back. I've always been training, but not like the real. I've been away from sparring, which is my absolute favorite. So I've been really struggling with that. But no, I'll be able to get back in the gym in the next couple of weeks, be training at a full 100%. And then I have my eyes on the June International Fight Week. And that'll be, I fought at the last International Fight Week, so that'll be a full, I think that'll be 11 months come June. Yeah. So I'm excited. It's good to have, especially at this stage of your career, to have a good amount of time like that off. I can't say that it's hurt me. It's definitely slowed me down, but it's like a forced holiday. So I'm just excited. There's still big fights in the lightweight division between now and then. I feel like the division will move, and as always, you'll take the best guy you can possibly get your hands on come June. So June, anyone wants to have a fight? I'm in.
Any bids in though? You got your eye on anybody?
We'll see. I know. It's like I always think. I look at the rankings and I go, who does no one want to fight? And, I think Fiziev. I don't think anyone wants to fight Fiziev. So who's probably dumb enough to put their hand up for that fight? The guy over here. Like I'll probably. But there's a lot of exciting fights. Like Moicano's coming off a big win. I think I can get that fight in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? And I'll be happy with that Moicano fight. It's an exciting fight. He's definitely won me over as a fan. With these last couple of
He's out the gate, mate.
With these last couple of post-fight interviews.
My father is 62 years old and he had a baby yesterday. Tomorrow when I get home, I'm gonna get my wife pregnant another time. Because if my father, 62 years old, can populate the world, I can too. Manny Moicano 3 is coming.
Yeah, he's won me over. I used to not like the guy. Oh, I think I like him now. He's won me over as a fan. But who knows? If we have a fight, probably a couple of arguments.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Me neither. Yeah. Me neither.
Look, before I let you go, Dan, there are a few local cards coming up. We've got Arsenal X, Shuriken, Hex is coming to town. There's been fighters announced for XFC. City Kickboxing must be buzzing at the moment, putting fighters on these cards.
Yeah, no, it is really buzzing. There's some very big fights coming up. And these like local shows are the ones where you see the guys that you're about to see over here in the UFC. It's like coming up. I'm going away with Aaron Tote this weekend. He defends his XFC title, and then he fights on the Arsenal X Rules show. So I feel like this is going to be the last couple of times. He's got 2 fights booked. Yeah, this is the last 2 chances. One in Australia, one in New Zealand. This is going to be the last 2 times to see this guy before we fight him. We see him fight in the UFC. As well as that, like Navajo Sterling as well. He's booked for Hex, I believe. And yeah, that's another guy who's positioning himself for a UFC contract. He'll be a couple of fights, 1 or 2 fights away from getting himself a UFC contract. Brando, big Brando, our heavyweight as well. He's got 2 fights booked, one on Shuriken, and then he has another fight booked on Hex. I believe he gets through both of those fights. So that's 3 City Kickboxing fighters that you see on these local shows. The next time you see them will be in the UFC. So that's pretty exciting to get down to your local show, support, buy a ticket, and see these guys. So then when you're sitting around with your mates at a bar in a couple of years, you can say, oh, was it this guy? Watch this guy at North Shore Event Centre. Like this is where you get, this is where you score yourself some bragging rights with your mates.
No, agree. But it's really exciting to see the talent that's coming through at the moment, and you've just named 3, which is actually quite a lot when you think about it. You know, 3 exciting fighters, and heavyweight. We haven't seen a heavyweight come out of New Zealand in a while.
We have not. And Mark Hunt, we got the Toughers.
Yeah.
we got Brando. He's Australian, but maybe if he wins, we'll claim him.
Yeah. We'll rip him in. Actually, I tell a lie. I have one more question for you. News has just dropped about Carlos Olberg's fight being postponed once again. I was wondering if you had any update on that as to what's going on there.
Well, I was punching him this morning and didn't say anything, so...
Maybe it was you.
The information's might have to hide into the pitch. Nah, I'm not too sure. What did they say there was the reason?
They didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, haven't seen a reason yet. Damn it, I should have made something up.
Yeah.
No, but thank you so much, Dan. It was great to hear your analysis. Can't wait to see you on the show at this desk more often too.
It's my new spot. I'm getting comfortable.
Nice one. Kia ora, mate wa.
See Mexico's best inside the UFC octagon. Former champ Brandon Moreno starts his journey back to gold when he faces flyweight finisher Brandon Royval in a Mexico City main event. Plus, it's a thriller between top-ranked featherweights and Jair Rodriguez meets Brian Ortega. Live only on ESPN+.